Right, I think we can start with this last summer webinar session. So once again, thank you all to be a part of those webinars. It's been a pleasure to organize them and introduce you our new features, new products. Also, I hope you've learned many different things. And as mentioned, today's webinar will be dedicated to our access control solution for the residential project. It's not only residential, but it's also residential project, but also mixed development building. So mixed development integrated with of course residential part, but also commercial or hospitality part. So I'm just going to share with you the presentation of today's webinar. Once again, feel free to ask any question you might have regarding this webinar. We'll be very happy to answer all of your questions and in the same time, be a part of this webinar. So we'll start, of course, for some of you who have already participated right, just hang on a second. I hope everybody can hear me. Yes. And that's it. Now, I assume you can see my screen. So yes, as mentioned, today's webinar will be dedicated to a residential solution and also mixed development project. For some of you who have already participated to our session, our previous session, we'll start with a small part introducing our company, what is FDI and what are we proposing. Then I will show you, everything regarding our residential solution and mixed development building solution. But first of all, let's start with the presentation of FDI, who we are. So as you know, FDI is an access control company. So we are manufacturing and designing access control solutions since 1989. And you'll be able to see in front of you the success story of FDI. So since 1989, we have always been involved in designing new solution. Our main purpose and our main target is offering the last innovation regarding access control solution. So since 2000, we belong to the Urmed Group, Group, and we are a subsidiary of the Urmed Group. We are the subsidiary. FDI is a subsidiary specialized in access control solution, security solution in the group. In total, we are 100 full-time employees, and our clients, we have different segments of client. We have installers, system integrator, but also distributors. And we offer not only access control, but also intercom system. As a subsidiary of the Urmed Group, we offer not only access control, but also intercom and intercom inside integrated also in our access control. So which offer many different kind of integration and many possibilities for all of your projects. So this is the first two parts of our activity, and the last part, because of our know-how in RFID solution and because of our integrated R&D and production. Just as a reminder, you should know that 40% of the staff at FDI is composed of R&D guys. So R&D guys regarding designing the hardware, also the firmware embedded inside the hardware, and the last department of the R&D is software development. So we don't only propose and sell access control solution, but we also design a solution and innovative solution. So for that reason, we are also involved in partnership with company for OEM solution. And due to that know-how, we have now a worldwide network of installers, system integrators, and distributors nearly everywhere in the world. So FDI is based in France, in the west part of France. And so we have the R&D production and all the administration based in the south of Nantes, in the west part of France. And also what is important to know about FDI is that we have an R&D department only dedicated to the export solution, as we want to propose the solution adapted to any market in the world. And it's not only R&D solution, as we have in the same time a dedicated technical support, English spoken technical support, which is able to provide you with trainings, with also technical support regarding the projects you might have everywhere in the world. And all that organization allows us to have a strong growth in Southeast Asia, even if our core market remains Europe and Russia. We've been able to propose the adapted access control solution, the best user experience to see this strong growth all over the world. And what we are proposing in all of these markets, in addition of OEM solution as mentioned, but regarding more focusing in access control, this is the product that we are proposing everywhere in the world. And today's webinar will be dedicated to each solution, showing you how to deal with each of these solutions regarding your residential project, but also mixed development buildings, as we've seen a strong growth in this kind of business. So we'll start with the most common access control, let's say the most simple, but which could be also really adapted, which are the standalone system on the left-hand side of the screen. Keypad, of course, which is a standalone system. We have 3 different products I will show you today. Transit Plus, which is a 2-door controllers perfectly adapted when you want to have a very simple access control for your project. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the different solution we are proposing for residential business as well, which is each-door controller based on a virtual network. So we'll go deeper on the explanation on what is a virtual network. And the last product, which is perfectly adapted for residential mixed development building, but even business organization, is that it's a full online solution proposing high features and high functionalities dedicated to any kind of your projects. So the access control solution, of course, some of you probably use access control mainly for business organization, but as FDI and as a part of the Urban Group, which is one of the leading company in this segment, in the residential segment, I think it's really important for you to understand what we can propose for your project and the different alternatives that FDI having in its range to answer any kind of demand. So just to introduce you the content, I started already mentioning that at the beginning of the presentation, is that we'll start with a standalone system. So the first 2 products I mentioned earlier, which are the Keypad and Transit Plus. Then we'll go also deeper in our read and write solution called each-door controller and each-door receiver. So we'll see all the advantages of using a free web software to manage your access control network and your access control system. And the last part will be dedicated to the Iperson software, the Iperson solution, the online solution. And then after having a view on all of these segments of products, you have a better view on what FDI is able to propose you and the range we have to answer any kind of demand of the market. So of course I will show you the different controllers we have, and in the same time the different alternative regarding the credential use, regarding also the type of readers you need to install regarding your access control, depending on the product you choose. I hope you had the chance to have a look at our last webinar, which were dedicated to our encrypted solution, and there were a small focus on the type of reader we are using, a type of credential we can use. So you know, this today's webinar will be linked also to the former webinar regarding the encrypted solution. So let's start first of all with the standalone system we are proposing at FDI. So it's composed of 2 products, which are the Keypad and Transit Plus. When we are talking about Keypad, it's very, very common project dedicated to a small residential project, or it could be also in addition of a huge access control system you have installed on site and you want to secure a small premises, such as a bike garage, or this kind of small areas where no network and you don't want to wire long cabling and so on. So the Keypad can be the perfect product adapted to this security of this kind of location in your total project. Or it could be also protecting on a private house, villas. It could be also the right way to enter your house in case you install this kind of solution for private housing. So we have 3 different Keypad. The first one, we called it the standard Keypad, which is cost effective, polycarbonate. In total, all of those 3 keypads can have a maximum of 100 codes, 100 access code, and you program the codes directly on the keypad. So you have a master code, which allow you to enter in programming mode, and then after entering into that programming mode, you enter the access code. So the access code could be composed of maximum of 6 digits, including hash and this kind of special character directly integrated to this keypad. And it could be adapted for your project. So you just enter this master code, which has been programmed earlier. Then you program the access code, and for maximum 100 access codes. So the first one is the most cost-effective in polycarbonate, gray color, perfectly adapted to any kind of project. And you should know that those keypads as well as 2 relays. So it can manage, of course, the door relay, but in the same time, you could also manage an alarm relay, for instance, or a second relay. So you can manage either one door and let's say an alarm in addition of that, or it could be also 2 doors with the 2 relays, the 2 built-in relays. So the Keypad standard, the Keypad product are the same using. The Keypad product is composed, it has a Zamac housing, so it's IK10 and really vandal resistant depending on where the keypad is installed. It could be adapted when you need a high IK rate for the vandal resistant. And in addition of those 2 keypads, we have also a wireless keypad. So wireless keypad means higher security. So install a small receiver, for instance, inside the building. Then the keypad is installed outside, and the relays are not built into the keypad. And for higher security, using radio frequency 868 megahertz, you're able to open the door in RF using this wireless keypad. This wireless keypad also can manage 2 doors, or it could be also one door and another kind of activation relay. So it could be also perfectly adapted for all of your access system, depending what you want to have on your building. So this is our range of keypads. And it's also these keypads are proposed in a nice housing, depending who you are and who are your target. It's composed of on a proper package, which could be perfectly adapted for a distributor's shop, for instance. So this is the first standalone product we have in our range, and the second part, which is a product which has been launched for about 1.5 years now. It's called the Transit Plus. So for the people who are who know FDI since a while, we used to have a product called Transit, and now still in our constant investment in innovation, we propose a Transit Plus, which is a 2-door controllers. And the big advantage of using this controller is that you manage your access control using an app on your smartphone. So you're using the NFC on your smartphone to program the keys. So directly by activating the NFC on your phone, you can program the keys without entering the CSN of the MyFair Plus key. And in addition to that, to transfer the data to the controller, you transfer the data to the controller using the Bluetooth low energy on your smartphone. And for a higher security of your building, this controller is used with MyFair Plus credentials. So I invite you to have a look on the webinar regarding the encrypted solution proposed by FDI. MyFair Plus offer the AES 128 bits encryption, which is the last standard or universal standard regarding encrypted solution and regarding security for your building. And this product, this 2-door controller, is perfectly adapted for your small residential project, villas. You don't need to have any IP network, so it's also perfectly adapted when you want to upgrade an existing access control, or for renovation of a building, or even when no access control has been installed. Then this solution could be perfectly adapted because it's really simple to install and also really simple to manage. It could be also adapted for villas when you want to have a proximity access, for instance, for pedestrian access, pedestrian entrance, and a second access for car park, because it's a 2-door controller, and in these 2 doors you can have a proximity reader, but in addition to that you can have a RS receiver dealing with remote control for car park access. So, so how it is composed, how you deal with your access control while you use Transit Plus. As mentioned, it's really easy. You manage your own access control system using your smartphone. It means you don't need to have an access directly to the controller to manage the access control system. Of course, it's a two-door controller, but you can have different controllers installed on the same side. And then when you transfer the data, you just choose the right controller where you want to transfer the data. So very easy. You open the app on your smartphone. It's free to download on the Google Store. And then you program your keys. First of all, you create your site, program your keys. And when you program your keys, you can only allow the access to one door or the other using proximity MyFair Plus credential or a remote control for car park access. Don't forget that our remote control also have a proximity tag inside, so you can either use a remote control to have access to your car park, or in the same time swipe the remote control directly on a proximity reader. So this is the first possibilities. And then when you have programmed all your keys, then you're ready to transfer the information to the controller. And to transfer the information to the controller, you can send the data using the Bluetooth of your smartphone. So you have two different possibilities. You are the first installer, so you have created the site, you have programmed all the keys which need to have access to this building. But in the same time, if there is an installing company composed of different installers, you're also able to download the data from the controller. So just have to, in that case, to download the app, of course, on your smartphone, and then you have two possibilities: transfer the data or download the data. And in case you have different installer, it could be really, really useful to first download the data, check all the access which has been programmed, and delete or grant new access to new users. So this access control, this Transit Plus, this innovative product can be perfectly adapted for your small residential project. Very easy to manage. You don't have to go on site. It can directly be done in the lobby if the controllers are nearby, and you don't need to have a huge installation. And you should also keep in mind that the readers used for this Transit Plus controller are two wires readers. So we'll see later in the presentation that the two wires protocol, the two smart bus, we call it at FDI, is perfectly adapted for any kind of the product I will show you today. So this is regarding the standalone system. The second range of product adapted for your residential project are what we call read and write solution. And read and write solution, we also call it a virtual network, as you use a free web software to manage the access. So you have an intuitive interface. You can manage remotely from the internet using easydoorcontroller.com website. So what is EasyDoor Controller? EasyDoor Controller is composed of two different products. So the first controller proposed, it's a one-door controller using proximity MyFair or MyFair Plus scan. It's also we left the choice to the user to choose the reading technology he likes. So it's also very flexible regarding the installer and regarding the user. And don't forget that you can start with MyFair, for instance, and then switch to MyFair Plus later on when you want to have the last standard of security technology. That's also something what is really important to know in FDI. So this one-door controller called EasyDoor Controller can manage one door, and in total it's 2,000 credentials per controller. So you can have, of course, on the site you can have different and many EasyDoor controller installed on site. It's not only one door per site. You can have a high number of EasyDoor controller installed on site. And in addition to that, when you want to manage a car park access, for instance, we have another product on the right-hand side of the screen called EasyDoor Receiver. And this EasyDoor Receiver can manage up to 2 doors. So 2 doors in RF or 1 door in proximity. In the same time, the same that EasyDoor Controller, you can use either MyFair keys or MyFair Plus credentials. And also regarding the radio frequency technology, we are using 868 megahertz, so perfectly adapted for car park access. And in the same time, also it's 2,000 credentials per controller. And those two products are managed, you manage your access control when you install these two products using the free web software called EasyDoorController.com. So just by having a desktop reader installed and plugged in USB to your computer, you can easily manage your access control. First of all, program your site, and then program the key, which will carry the information and update the controller memory. So then, just to summarize the different solution we are offering at FDI for virtual network, the EasyDoor controller and EasyDoor receiver. You can see in front of you that the EasyDoor controller is only one proximity reader per controller, when EasyDoor receiver is able to manage two doors. So the first door could be RF and proximity or proximity access, and the second one is only RF. So in total, you can manage 2,000 credentials. And even if it's not an IP system and it's a small system, really easy to install, offering the best installer experience, let's say, we're still managing events. So in total, it's 20,000 events per controller. So in that case, you can see who went in, who went out, and also see what happened on site in case of an issue which might have happened on your site. Once again, we let the possibility to choose between MyFair Classic and MyFair Plus, which is a very good way, especially when you have, for instance, maybe one site which has already been installed with an FDI controller using our MyFair keys, and you want just to update the access control using a virtual network with EasyDoor controller. Then you don't have to change all the keys. You just send the controller, program your site online, and by just programming one key and swiping that key in front of the readers, then it will update the controller memory. And in addition to that, also using EasyDoor receiver, you're able to manage remote control for car park access. So we have those two products dedicated to any kind of your project, residential project, but even some different products you might think already, and it's really easy to install and really easy to manage. So how does it work? We call it a virtual network. So on each controller you have a single serial number. This single serial number will be informed inside the free web software EasyDoor controller. So first of all, you create your account using one serial number, and then when you are connected, you are able to name your site, say how many doors you have on site, create also your access profile, which is an advanced feature, as we've done a really big site using EasyDoor controller, and we didn't expect that, but of course it works and it's still working, so we were very happy with that. And by informing this serial number, if it's EasyDoor controller, it's one serial number per door, and then you inform this serial number, and then you program the key. And then each key has a list of authorized door and all the new modification which has been done on the free web software. Then you program a key, and the key has the list of authorized doors and the keys which has been deleted. We call it the blacklist, let's say. And when you swipe the key in front of the reader, then you could update the controller memory. So the controller checks the key permission and update its memory directly. So they can really manage your access control remotely. You don't have to go on site to manage your access control, and that the biggest difference between standalone system and virtual network with EasyDoor controller. So you can manage everything remotely. The only thing you need is have an internet connection when you program your access on the free web software, and just a desktop reader and enroller which will write the information into the keys, and then when the key will be read by the readers, will update the controller's memory. That's the reason why we called it a read and write solution using a virtual network, EasyDoorController.com. So it's really simple to integrate it to any kind of your project. Even if today's webinar is targeted to the residential project, EasyDoor controller can be perfectly adapted also for small businesses. But let's start with residential projects. So really adapted for small, medium residential building. You should keep in mind, and that's what I started mentioning when we were talking about EasyDoor controller, is that even if we're promoting that for medium-sized residential building, you should know that we've done a different site abroad when you have there are more than 150 doors. So even when you have a huge number of doors, and in that case, when IP network is not adapted because it's a huge site, it's not a high-rise building, but it's a huge site on a big land, and then the IP wiring IP for existing project is not possible, then using this virtual technology, which allow you to manage the access control remotely, could be perfectly adapted. Then EasyDoor controller and or EasyDoor receiver is the key. So you don't need to have any IP network required. So it's also really, really good for renovation when you want to upgrade an existing access control, or when you want to switch from a mechanical key, let's say, to access control. Then using EasyDoor controller is perfectly adapted. Also, especially when we are talking about upgrading an existing site, you should keep in mind that the EasyDoor receiver, it's very small. It's a very small receiver and can also be integrated behind a door entry panel when you have enough room left, or it could, you don't need to have a big technical location to install the EasyDoor controller. So for that reason, it offers you many possibilities when we are talking about upgrading or when we are talking about access control solution for residential project. And even if we were promoting that, and even if EasyDoor controller or EasyDoor receiver is perfectly adapted for your residential project, for really small businesses, a one-man company, for instance, or a small shop into a city center, it's really it's perfectly adapted for this kind of small businesses, because EasyDoor, even if it's a small product, it offers many alternatives and many features, such as, of course, what we mentioned, events, but in the same time you can manage free access. So for instance, for a one-man company, for instance, you can leave the door open when the shop is open. So you can remain the door open when the shop is open. So in that case, your clients can easily come into your premises, into your shop. But in the same time, even EasyDoor controller is perfectly adapted for your small business when you want to secure, for instance, a small location dedicated to your stock, and you don't want to invest in a big access control solution. Then installing EasyDoor controller or EasyDoor receiver, depending how you want to access your building or your shop, then it's perfectly adapted for that. And why it is adapted, it's also really cost efficient for small businesses, but also even for a residential product, that it's an easy management via web, and using our free web software, you don't have any additional cost or any high cost of using a software license, for instance. And for one-man company, using this solution with remote management, it's perfectly adapted. But let's talk about the advantages of the web management, the advantages of using a remote solution for your access control building, and how to deal with that virtual network and read and write technology. So first of all, and as mentioned, you create your site. First of all, of course, you create your accounts, you create your site, and you program your cards or your cards, keys, or remote control using this free web software. Because it's also a cloud software, you don't have any limit in the number of sites on your database. So it's really important when you have a developer, for instance, or an installer dealing with many sites, is able to create all of these sites in his database, and even give the access to his client to only the designated site he is in charge. So it offers many possibilities also regarding the software operators. And also for the installer, an adapted solution, it could be the passkey. So what is a passkey? Is that an installer can have access to different buildings using the same keys. One is in charge of different buildings in different locations. So how it works, and the advantages of web management, it's that it's all remote management of the access control. So first of all, you create your site, create your access profile, for instance, and then you program your keys, cards, or remote control. While these keys or remote control or card have been programmed, then you can directly send them to your residents, so you don't have to go on site to update the access rights. You can directly send the keys to the resident or employee, whoever they are. And then when they will swipe in front of an EasyDoor controller readers or in RF using EasyDoor receiver, it will update the controller memory. So this small picture is to show you how easy is it to use EasyDoor controller and the virtual network and read and write technology, and how easy it is to just manage from one location the access control of your different buildings wherever they are. So so just by swiping, by programming using the enroller on your computer and swiping the keys on the readers, it will directly update the controller's memory. So we've seen the standalone system. Now I hope you have a better view on all the advantages offered by a virtual network and read and write technology. Let's go to an even advanced product, which is Iperson. So if you had the chance to follow the previous webinar, you had the chance to see many new features offered by Iperson. And Iperson, it's for you any kind of residential project, and even if higher features and new functionalities and higher functionalities are required, Iperson is able to offer any kind of integration needed on your site. So of course, Intercom Integration, as a Nuomet subsidiary, we propose many integration using the Intercom technology from Nuomet. So the first technology used is two-voice. So it's a wiring system, very reliable, which has been existed for a few years now, many years now, and perfectly adapted, perfectly reliable, with also high numbers of apartments and different solutions which are perfectly adapted to many different sites. And using this intercom technology and installing an Iperson controller allows you to use one software for the intercom and also access control solution. So two voices for the wiring system. We also have a small range of 3 different door entry panels, which offer you a full integration into the system, which is two voice from FDI using our own door entry panel, and then the monitors from Nuomet. So this is for the wiring intercom system. And the second integration we propose for intercom integration is Ipercom, which is the IP intercom system offered by Nuomet. When we are talking about access control, we offer different possibilities, especially for mixed development buildings, and Iperson is adapted either for your standard, let's say, a residential project, but also for mixed development buildings, and offering the Onity integration. Onity, it's a hotel management system for PMS, we called it. And then Iperson is in charge of the common areas of the building, which could be car park, which could be lobby, which could be even lift. And that will be the link for the next point of the integration proposed in Iperson. And using the Onity integration, the person who is arriving at the reception desk of the hotel, of course, the person at the reception will program the key to access his accommodation, but in the same time, by programming this key, they will have access to the common areas managed by Iperson, so lobby, car park, and even the lifts. And when we are talking about lift integration in Iperson, we are talking about, let's say, standard, what we call it low-level integration using output, so one output for one floor. So this is what we call standard lift management, but we also offer the possibility to have a high-level interface, using a Kony or Otis lift brand. So then the link between the access control can be done in IP, and which offer, especially for high-rise building, many different possibilities when cabling all this floor is not possible, or where the number of lifts is becoming higher and higher. Using this Kony and Otis integration offer you the best way to manage access control and to manage also a lift access control, let's say. We are using two different integrations. The first one is COP with Kony, which is car operating panel. So let's say, to be really simple, it's one reader inside the lift car. And the second option could be using the destination operating panel of those two brands. Then the readers, it's outside, and really to improve the people flow in your building. You can just swipe at the inside the lobby, at the lobby entrance, and then this tablet, this destination operating panel will advise you which lift to use to go to the designated floor. So this is always regarding security, and it's always about improving the way you want to secure your premises. Also, when we are talking about security, we are talking about CCTV integration. Of course, we integrate the Hermet CCTV, the Hermet NVR, but in the same time, we propose a different documentation using the ONVIF protocol and different profiles offered in the ONVIF integration, and which allow you to use many different kinds of CCTV installation on your site. So using the ONVIF protocol, which is universal, it makes the integration much more easier when you want to deploy this Iperson access control solution on site. Also, the second part, when we are talking about access control system and car park access, we also propose a number plate recognition using integrated into the Iperson software and into the Iperson access control system. And we are also proposing the integration with Innova, which is a platform which allows you to install different number plate recognition cameras, and there is a link between the Innova platform and the Iperson system, and in that case it offers you the possibility to install many different brands of number plate recognition camera on your site. So and the last two different things, it's also, and it could be really important when we are talking about booking management, especially in residential project, when the size of the apartment are decreasing, and also the pricing are booming due to the lack of spaces into the city. And then you have additional location where the resident can book, and offering this system integrated into Iperson is perfectly adapted for residential project, mixed development project, but even business organization. Of course, today it's dedicated to residential project, but it could be also perfectly adapted for your business organization. So let's talk about the capacity of the Iperson system. So if you use the cloud-based Iperson.com software, as it is manage everything in the cloud, you don't have any software limit for the number of doors, inputs, output, network on site. So as it is a multi-network system, it offers many different possibilities with a limited number of doors, outputs, inputs on site. And also you're able to manage your site using the online connection in IP, but even the connection between the different controllers can be done in RS485. Once again, and if, you know, one of the key words when FDI is proposing access control system is to offer the best flexibility when you are installing our access control system. Second, another thing which is important to know is that the limit is 100,000 credentials per site. So credential could be, as we have seen for the different integration offered, could be keys, cards, remote control, number plate recognition, Bluetooth. I invite you also to have a look to the webinar we've done regarding Bluetooth access. It could be perfect alternative for residential building or student accommodation, for instance. And in total, per network of Iperson controller, you can install a maximum of 384 readers, but don't forget that it's a multi-network system. So if 380 readers is not enough on site, you have the possibility to add another network and another network, so which makes, let's say, a kind of a limited system when we are talking about the capacity of the network. Of course, it's not only access control, and that's an important thing, especially in today's security environment, to propose lift management. In total, when you want to integrate with a third-party system using inputs and outputs, an Iperson network is able to manage more than 14,000 inputs and outputs on site. So this output can be used, if you're using low-level integration, can be used for the lift, but it can be also used for alarm system or whatever you want to manage with dry contact and inputs and outputs. In Iperson, we also offer using our software, any kind of possible process, and this possible process can create from one condition can create an action on your side. So it could be the alarm is on, then the siren is on. So just an example, but as it is really flexible once again and really intuitive to use, from the Iperson Manager software, you can create your own process and you can secure your premises, your buildings, in different way, and you decide which level of security you want to have on site. And using the Iperson Manager software. So I mentioned, of course, the cloud-based software, which is the Iperson.com software, but you should also you have the alternative to use the software directly installed on a computer. So once again, you choose the way you like to manage your access control system, either using the cloud, and it also offers you many possibilities, as all the information, everything is saved in the cloud. So it's also an insurance for you. And don't forget that all of the FDI server are based in France, so we have a direct view on them. And using the Iperson Manager software, we've made it to have an intuitive tool using the wizard, and really powerful with all the integration offers. So if you just want to manage, let's say, lift, standard access control, create your architecture with a number of apartments on each floor, managing your network, managing the different functionalities you want to have on site, you can easily create your access control system and your access control installation only in 11 steps. So it's very intuitive and very powerful, and we have designed a very smart wizard for an easy creation of the site. And also an important thing when we are talking about time efficiency and even cost efficiency is that the web software is free to use. So whatever the side of your site is, the Iperson software, the Iperson Manager software is free to use. So by just having and buying an Iperson controller, you have all the capacity of the system. So using this free software, you can manage up to 384 readers and even lift management using a software which is free, which is a big advantage of the FDI Iperson solution. And in the same times, also when you want to go deeper into the access control and when you want to have the higher security, using this intuitive software allows you to manage the access control and the third-party integration from one platform, easy to use, but not only easy, even powerful. So this is for the software. When we are talking about the hardware, we are talking about the architecture, about the Iperson architecture, let's say. So here you can manage the access control using the Iperson.com. But once again, if you have, for instance, a person on site, or if the building manager prefer using the local Iperson manager, it can easily install the Iperson Manager software directly on his computer. And then when we are talking about the architecture and the communication between the controllers, you have three different possibilities. The first possibility is it's an IP communication between the different controllers on site. The second possibility is using a network of RS-485 communication between the controllers. So that's the first two possibilities. But also the Iperson architecture offers you the possibility to have a mixed network between IP and RS-485 communication. And it's really useful, for instance, when you have a building and you have only IP network on the ground floor, for instance, and then when you go up in the floors, in the stories, you don't have any IP network, you can then connect the controllers on the ground floor all in IP, and then when you go up in the floors, you can mix it with an RS-485 network, so it's perfectly adapted and perfectly flexible for any kind of your project and any kind of architecture, of network architecture on your site. And it's not it's not only easy to install it and to choose the right communication you want, and offering the Iperson controller, it's a really scalable and easy scalable access control system. So when we are talking about the controllers, so you have one controller, which is a 4-reader controller. And then on this controller, you can have an option card for 2 additional readers. So it's an option card for which allow you to manage 2 additional readers. And then in total, you are able to manage 6 readers in total. And those 6 readers, you don't need to have just need to have to add an option card for 2 additional readers, but you don't need to do any additional wiring. You don't need to add any power supplies. So that's what we call easy scalable access control controllers, and which allow you to deal with different installation and still in a time efficient and cost efficient installation. And we have also the same possibility to manage your output. So on the controller, you can either put an option card for two additional reader option, but you can also put an additional card for 12 inputs or 12 outputs. And when this is not enough, you have two RS485 output on each controller. One is for the communication between the controller themselves, and the second one is to manage the expanders in RS485. When you don't have enough place remaining on each controller, you add this RS485 expander, which is for 10 outputs or 10 inputs. And on each expander, you can also even add 12 output or input cards directly on them without adding, once again, any power supply. So let's go deeper into the input and output expanders and option. So this is the possible configuration. So you have a base Iperson controller, then you can put a 12 input or output card directly on the controller, and then you can add up to 10 expanders per controller. So 10 additional RS485 expanders per controller. So and then on each expanders, in addition of the option card you have already put on the controllers, you are able to add 12 input or output cards. So in total, an Iperson controller, one Iperson controller can manage up to 220 input or output per controller. So it's only per controller. So in total, when we are talking about a network of 62 Iperson controllers on site, you are able to manage more than 14,000 inputs and outputs for yourself. So this number and this easy way to manage the access control offer you really, really high functionalities and high capacities when we are talking about not only access control, but dealing with input and output card for lift management, for alarm management, whatever you like. So when we are talking about access control system and when we are talking about reading technology, we have here a new range of readers. So this new range of readers are perfectly adapted for Iperson, of course, because we are talking about Iperson, but it's also perfectly adapted for the EasyDoor controllers range and any kind of too smart communication between controllers and readers. So this new range of readers are IK10 and IP65, so it can be adapted for an outside installation, even when high vandal resistance rate is required on site. You can easily install those readers, and those readers are also proposed with a different built-in technology. So when we are talking about reading technology, we are of course talking about proximity MyFair cards or MyFair Plus card or Deathfire cards. Even this technology is able to be used with this range of reader and with Iperson. And also because we want to offer the best user experience, once again, these readers, and when you install this reader on your site, you also from one day using the Iperson controller, you're also able to grant the access using Bluetooth access. So just by using your smartphone, just by installing these two smart readers, you are able to use a MyFair Classic, MyFair Plus on-site Bluetooth, and everything at the same time. So you don't have any limits using this reader. So you have all these functionalities inside, and in the same time, even if our advice is to use the two smart communication, the two smart technology, don't forget that those readers are also available in a Wigan output and also with a RS485 outputs. And those two different outputs, Wigan or RS485, are on the same reader. So it's still, once again, it's still one stock of readers for you if you want to deal with Wigan and RS485. RS485, for instance, could be perfectly adapted when you have long distance for lift management. And when you have these RS485 readers installed on site, you are able to manage the lift and also Bluetooth access. So this range of reader has been designed to have the best functionality inside and to have one unique range, one unique stock also for you, which is perfectly adapted. When you are working with FDI, you have only one shape of reader, and that offers you many alternatives and a clear view of your client, for your client to on the reading technology and on the reader, which can be used on your site. So this is regarding the read and write technology, and I mentioned a different reading technology. And when we are talking about Iperson, and when we are talking about the different reading technology, so this is in front of you. The possibilities offered to access your premises when you have Iperson installed on site. So of course, proximity keys, proximity cards, which could be even 125 kilohertz, even it's an old technology and not really used, but once again, for upgrading buildings, it could be very useful to have a product which is adapted with many different reading technology. So even 125 kilohertz, which is quite an old one. So this is for proximity access. We have by technology, big technology, a remote control. So in this remote control, it's 4-button remote control. So with one remote control, we can open 4 different gates, for instance. And in the same time, using our remote control, you can also have a proximity access. As you have a proximity tag inside, the remote control is not only used for car park access, it can be also used for proximity access when a proximity reader is installed. In addition to that, we have a standard PIN code, and you've seen just before the range of readers we are offering. And when we're talking about PIN code, it could be also double authentication. So I swipe and then type a code, depending on the level of security you want to have on site. Double authentication could be perfectly adapted as well. Of course, Bluetooth access, if you got the chance to participate to our webinar dedicated to the Bluetooth access, it's just by installing an app on your smartphone, which is free and available on Android Store or App Store. They are able to access your building using your smartphone, so that's perfectly adapted. And it's also perfectly adapted for residents, but also for visitors of a company or visitors entering a residential project. Also for visitors, Iperson is able to generate QR codes. So don't forget that QR code is not proper access control because it can be printed and copy and copy and copy. But for visitor access, sometimes it could be really handy. You just send, Iperson is generating the QR code, and then the QR code is sent to the user or the visitors directly by email. So it offers high flexibilities and could be perfectly adapted for booking and visitor management system. And the last part for car park access is number plate recognition. So you've seen that we have the integration with Innova. So offering for your car park access, offering the number plate recognition can be perfectly adapted. So we are able to offer these different possibilities when you want to manage your access control. So this is a different kind of credential. I can add to that also a fingerprint reader. But because it's more targeted to residential project, I don't want to spend too much time regarding fingerprint, but you should keep in mind that Iperson is able also to deal with fingerprint reader. And when we are talking about fingerprint reader, it's really handy to use it with Iperson because you can just plug a fingerprint enroller and you don't have to go directly on each reader to manage the fingerprint access. And so using Iperson, you have benefits for everybody. When we are talking everybody, we are talking about a property manager, which can easily manage his access in IP, so don't have to go on site. And because Iperson is offering many different technologies, and especially for smaller residential project, but to the bigger, you don't need to have one place in each place have a guard office, for instance. Everything can be managed remotely using an IP network, and because Iperson is really easy to install, you don't have to invest in big IT costs, in big IP infrastructure, as is it the Iperson controller, which is looking for the server. So it's also offering a time and cost efficient installation. And you have advanced feature which offer many easy integration. So of course we are talking about residential building, but don't forget that for mixed development building, for instance, when you have not only a residential part on a building, but even a commercial part like an hotel or like normal company, for business organization, using Iperson is really cost effective. Especially when you want to manage multi-site system, and using the Iperson we offer you the possibility to manage your own doors very easily and without once again having a big IT infrastructure, which is most of the time really expensive. And using the Iperson also for business organization, we offer a very high security. with the last integration required for your organization. This is for the property manager and also for the business organization. Let's talk about the installer. Using the two-smart technology, it's less wiring, of course. If you're using also the IP controller, it's even more less wiring. I've just mentioned the intuitive software using a smart wizard for your installation. So it's intuitive, easy to install, and time efficient. This is what installer are looking for when they install a security system on site. When we're talking about the tenants, so we offer user-friendly application, especially when you offer the possibility to the tenant or to the resident to manage booking management. For instance, we have a dedicated portal which is perfectly adapted, and using the Iperson, it's safe also, and it could be really secure for the tenant in case they are losing their key, and even in the same time, when they are talking about booking management system, for instance, using the Iperson resident portal, for instance, it's really, really easy to manage all of your access. So using our Iperson, but more in general, using the FDI solution, we have the perfect product adapted to any kind of project. And I think now you have a better view on what are our project and for which target and for which buildings Iperson and even east-door controller and transit plus and even the keypad are dedicated. So but I was very happy to propose you this different summer webinar session. So I really thank you for your attention. Don't forget that those webinars, all of the webinars will be available on our social network, on our YouTube channel. So I was very happy to be a part of those webinars. I hope you've learned many different things about the Iperson products, the Iperson solutions offered. I just give you maybe a few more minutes if you have more questions in the chat. I thank you all to be a part of those webinars and of today's webinar. Don't forget once again to ask your question, or if you have a potential project to contact us directly on our social media, or on anything you might have. And it has been a pleasure once again, and yes, I hope you've learned many different things. I hope you learn more about FDI, about our company, about our product, and I look forward to seeing you again for different webinar session. And please ask us for any kind of access control system. So thank you very much. For some of you who are nearly in summer vacation, I wish you a nice summer vacation. For those who are still working, good luck, and keep installing Iperson and FDI products. And I look forward to seeing you again after this old COVID-19 crisis, to seeing you physically on exhibition or during meetings. And feel free to contact us for any question. Thank you very much, and goodbye.